Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Rebel Collective. I am your host, Laura Eisenhower, with my co-host.
Drago Reid. How's everybody doing today?
We are so excited to have our good friend Dan Willis on the show. Dan, I've known you for years now, and we've done some really amazing things together. Lots of roundtables, events. We met last year in Florida, and you have quite the background, and you've just put together so much incredible information that we're going to dive into today. And Drago's going to just explain more about you, and then you're going to say some things in your own words. But I so appreciate you being here, and I can't wait to see what you have to show us today.
I always love doing a show with you, Laura.
Yes.
Yeah, we're continuing to expose the things that have been hidden from so many people on this planet.
I'm equally excited. I've been a big Dan Willis fan for a really long time. I've seen him in so many documentaries with the National Press Club and the Dr. Stephen Greer stuff. So I followed him behind the scenes. So actually getting to meet you last weekend at the Galactic Spiritual Informers Connection, man, it was totally awesome to actually do that face to face and finally look into the eyes of such a legend. So I'll just leave.
Please.
Oh,
All right, so hi, Laura.
Yeah, I mean, top secret military witness that testified in Washington, D.C. in 2001. And that just is scratching the surface here. So take it away, Drago. And if you guys don't see me on camera much, I'm just going to sit back. I'm traveling right now, and I got to kind of be low key. The walls are kind of thin, but I'm right here listening in, and I'll be jumping in with some questions here soon. So take it away, Drago.
All right, everyone. Just like Laura said, we're very excited to bring forward a military insider who has blazed his own path in the fields of free energy, crystal technology, anti-gravity technologies being suppressed from the public, and delivering the news with being a news anchor. With 50 plus years experience in these fields, Dan has been at the forefront of disclosure and directly involving himself with inventors and invention think tanks such as Dr. Stephen Greer's Arrow program. Dan Willis is one of the top military and witnesses that testified at the National Press Club in Washington, D.C. back in 2001 in front of the major mainstream media of the world. A world disclosure event prompted by those within our government with legal constitutional authority being illegally denied access. This event was asking for a congressional hearing in order to bring forth the witnesses and scientists within the unacknowledged special access program, also known as USAPs, in order to release the advanced technologies derived from extraterrestrial reverse engineering that have been hidden for over 70 years that could stop damage to our planet, as well as acknowledging the extraterrestrial presence of our planet. Instead, the message was sanitized by a controlled mainstream media to the public. After a congressional hearing was denied to bring forth these scientists, Dan spent 10 years meeting with various civilian scientists and inventors across the planet in an attempt to bring out an energy solution. Until the control structure that suppresses the release of these technologies has been dismantled, further efforts in this area has been abandoned. Previously in the 1980s, Dan worked with IBM's top scientist and legend, Dr. Marcel Vogel, in the science of interfacing consciousness with specialty cut quartz crystals. Since the year 2022, the understanding of this science was greatly corroborated and expanded upon in being able to communicate with an off-planet scientist, Jinhan Aredian, from the planet Era. These ongoing communications were facilitated through a quantum communication implant via Elena Denon, who is the emissary for the Galactic Federation of Worlds. Jinhan Aredian has delivered this technical construction plans to share with our world the technology they use on their planet in creating a frill generator crystal. This technology can be used for beneficial purposes for the people of our planet. Currently, he is working with a team of scientists to further develop the gift for this world. Man, Dan, I think we should just start for our audience. Let's just start with a general background of such an amazing experience you've been through these last 55 plus years with these programs and amazing people.
It's great to be with you, Drago. Yeah, it's interesting how one thing leads to another, isn't it? In life, your life path, one thing leads to the next. My involvement started, as a kid, I used to think this was science fiction, flying saucers and all the stuff. And then when I was in military communications, I was getting actual classified reports of extraterrestrial craft coming out of the ocean, going in secret reports. So I knew the subject was real. I just didn't understand why our government is keeping it from the public, and I didn't understand why the extraterrestrials weren't revealing themselves to the people of Earth. So I researched over the decades, and I had some interesting experiences in the 70s that led me to try to understand the interface of crystals with consciousness. And Dr. Marcel Vogel, who was setting up a laboratory, and so I joined him, and we developed some interesting technologies. One was a camera that could tune backwards and forwards in the time and take holographic photos that substantiates what Alex Collier revealed, what the Andromedans told him, how the medbeds work, how they can take a holographic photo of you that goes all the way back to your conception and pull out slides at time. So this was patented, and thousands of photos were taken. So it was something that was real and substantiated that the holographic reality has the ability to tune through time. Lately, I came back from, I don't do conferences. So
yeah, I heard this was your first one with GSIC. What an honor, man.
Yeah, I'm pretty much a hermit living off the grid with my wife up in the mountains. And but when I started an exchange with my friend Elena, who she had me on a show, and we were talking about the regular disclosure history and the hidden world that we've all been indoctrinated into. And she said, well, Thorhan, her contact, his younger brother is going to a university in the Pleiades that's learning how to terraform planets, and he knows a bit about crystals. And so she said I could ask some questions. And so since April of 2022 to present day, over a year and a half, we've got about 144 pages of question and answer that I've been ongoing with him.
What a synchronistic number, 144.
Yeah. It's continually getting updated. In the communications, I learned a lot about the structure of the matrix, the relationship of quartz, consciousness, relationship with source, the importance of love, and how, as Jen Han says, that dissonance cannot attune to an ordered state of geometrical resonance, and how love allows you to go into the higher densities with this work. And so in the process, I was able to get some technology, and so I'm working with a team of scientists, Chris Sohn from Paris, and Kent Noonan in the Oregon area, and we got very detailed technical instructions. And so we've put together the technology that's kind of a fundamental technology that they power their whole planet with. They use what's called the frill. The Germans used to call the Vril Society. There's a lot of different names. The frill comes directly from source, and they have these large crystals that are wrapped in these different types of cables going around them. They're like of copper and silver that are perpendicular, that they pulse. And what happens is it opens up what's called the eye of the crystal, where it elicits the frill, and then the frill goes up to the top of the pyramid. They have like we have on Earth, like the Great Pyramid in Egypt. They have 52-degree angle pyramid, 51.843 to be exact, which basically the frill is converted into power and bonded across the power web of their cities. And that's how they power everything. In fact, they use these torsion fields to power their starships. And in the countryside settings, they have, like if you're living remotely, they have like a small replica of the large pyramid crystal frill generators that powers their home. The frill also has like a beneficial attribute to it. When your body is exposed to the frill, it goes into the body and it doesn't change the molecular structure of your body, but it changes the oscillations in between the molecules of your body that removes dissonance. And in that way, it's a very healing to the body. So, after 10 years of meeting with scientists and inventors and some pretty horrific stories to share on that area. But, there's been a lot of murders and threats and mostly got national security orders. And, the control structure ever since the Invention Secrecy Act in 1951, they haven't allowed anything like free energy, anti-gravity, and there's over 6,000, inventions that have been suppressed from keeping our civilization from evolving forward with advanced technologies while we have nuclear, oil, and coal shoved down our throats, over the decades. It was my great honor at the Orlando conference to present for the first time on our planet since the ancient days of Atlantis, this technology that elicits the frill. And we're avoiding anything having to do with power production, because that's it threatens everyone's safety. But it's not exactly a med bed, but the frill can be very beneficial and healing. If you expose plants to it, the plants will thrive and grow like crazy. So there's applications that could be done, such as impregnating the frill into water that goes into irrigation lines to feed plants and things like that. So I was honored to reveal for the first time on our planet this gift from their world to our world.
Yeah, when you came on stage, man, everybody stood up and started clapping and giving you a little standing ovation. And you're such a humble guy that you didn't expect it to happen. And it was cool.
Totally.
To see that reaction and be like, oh my God, like people are listening. You even called the crowd and said, we're pretty much a well-learned crowd. Like, we kind of know what you're talking about because we follow all these subjects, intently and intimately. So like, it's awesome to see you recognized to speak at your first engagement, and you feel that power of what that's like going to be from this moment on for the rest of your life, because it's literally just the beginning.
Oh God, I was taken back. I got the standing ovation and all these people. I'm pretty much, I just want to contribute. I'm just one voice of many that I have little pieces of the puzzle that from researching from decades that want to contribute to move along, because we need to expose the deceptions that we've all been indoctrinated into this world that where they control our perceptions through our education system, through the media, and a whole different world could be existing that people have no idea.
A Tesla future before Rockefeller took it away.
Yeah, exactly.
I think about all the time, just like you said, you always imagine the Jetsons future where everything is automated and life is so easy and we can just sit back and relax for the first time in our life and just exist to figure out what we're good at, because all the hard stuff in life is taken care of. And for the first time, we get to figure out who we are. We don't have to be distracted from everything else, because technology for the first time is actually making our life easy. And then maybe they ultimately realize that they should have done this the entire time, because you help humanity. We're much more grateful and we don't act up as much. You know what I'm saying? All kinds of religions were written where the people, we got too loud, we grew bellicose, like they say in the Sumerian tablets, stuff like that. But like, now's the time. Like, the state of disclosure right now, like, this is the time. Like, one of my big questions for you is, where are we at now in the state of disclosure now? And to hear about the frill technology, and like, that's some amazing, that's the next frontier for humanity, man. And like, I know it's an honor for you to be part of that and to like step forward into that power and like help deliver it to humanity. So
Yes, in fact, anybody listening that have a connection with scientists, we're, it's this cutting edge stuff, so we're wanting to heavily dig into quantifying and measuring the frill energy and optimizing it so it can be used for beneficial purposes. So anybody who's listening, if you go to marcelvogel.org, a site I did in Marcel's honor, there is a complete instructions. You can download a PDF. It'll give you the complete instructions on how to build your own frill generator crystal. But keep in mind that it's going under constant revision, so it's going to be continually improved. I can do a share screen here and share a little bit of what it looks like.
that'd be really awesome.
Okay,
Laura,
great.
can you activate?
Yeah, I already did.
Go ahead, Dan.
And then I have a question.
Oh, go ahead, Laura.
Oh, I was just going to say, with all the technology they've used to like mind control and socially engineer, do you ever feel like that same technology could be used to just activate certain dormant parts of the brain to like heal and recover from just all the multi-generational indoctrination and grooming and trauma that's taken place? Is
That's a
that
great
how
question.
are these the same technologies, or are they very similar? You know what I mean? But used correctly.
What's wonderful about as I learn more about this, there's certain, you could say, can this technology be weaponized and used for dark purposes? The amazing thing is that Dr. Emoto's, when you put love and gratitude and so forth, it takes form into the water crystals. And you have like hate, malice, whatever like that. It can't take form. And that's what Jen Han was saying, is that dissonance cannot attune to an ordered state of geometrical resonance. In other words, the power is with the love. The love allows the transcending ability to go into the higher densities. And it's in the higher densities that form and create the lower densities. It's like when Marcel did an experiment with water from a sacred spring that had a high energy signature. He had a big thing of bulk unstructured water, put a couple of drops of it in, and the whole vat, every single drop turned into that high frequency energy signature. But if you were to take a drop of something unstructured and put it in the vat of structured water, it'll just become structured. So the higher, in other words, the moral of the story is this, that the higher forms the lower, but the lower does not form the higher, if that makes sense.
Yes. Totally.
So here, I'll show you some
your slides. I even heard, I know, and we know that black goo dissolves in the higher frequencies of consciousness. And it's been tested. Actually,
Like,
yeah, some of Lisa's Renee material talks about that.
Yeah, it puts out such a high resonance of them higher frequencies that it literally obliterates technology, because like the higher levels of existence, there is no technology, there's only conscious mind, there's no physical bodies, there's only the collective and individualness at that point, like co-creator energy and like It's pretty cool stuff, man. Like kind of hierarchical, if you will, craters.
Yeah. It's like the saying, you know, the light extinguishes the dark, but the dark can't extinguish the light.
And the light, if you give the analogy of like the planet as a single point of light in the darkness of space, we're just a pin in a needle in a haystack of darkness, and that amount of light can decimate any darkness.
Oh, totally, totally. Yeah, and it's kind of exciting. You know, some of the things that Jenhan shared with me that he had to get special permission. You know, I asked him tons of questions, and this one he couldn't answer because it was on the prime directive list of things not to mention. And he revealed something that Dr. Marcel Vogel did not know, and he would have loved to have known, and that is the 2 terminations on the crystal. Here's a little one.
When I seen it, I freaked out. I honestly genuinely freaked out because I have a crystal that looks exactly like that. Like I actually tried to find it earlier so I can show it to you on the show. Couldn't find it. But like when I saw it, I'm like, oh my God, it's even tapered just like mine and like those terminations. And I was just like, what are the odds?
How many sides does it have? 6?
That's what I needed to know. I wanted to show it to you and count because I know that's important. I wanted to show you the degrees and slopes, but I felt a huge connection here in my heart. I'm like, I haven't seen this crystal in a long time.
If you're 6 sides like this,
that's what it looks like. I remember.
See, what they do on the planet Era is they cut the crystals in alignment with the hexagonal core of the crystal. So, in other words, they work with nature. Crystals, when they grow in nature, they grow 6-sided. They're hexagonal, and so Marcel started experimenting. He's tried 4 and 6, 8, 12, and Jenhan said all the way up to 24 sides works, because there's a vortex spin that happens, but it's healing through the radiance. But when you cut the crystal, it's in alignment with the hexagonal core, something incredible happens. Yeah, I can see if I can to switch subjects. Well, let me go over one thing at a time here. There's so many different areas.
Get some good slides to share.
Okay. Let's see. Did I hit the wrong button? Okay. Yeah, I did.
Oh, you just had it. There you go.
Okay. Is that showing on full screen?
Showing full screen.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
You can see that? Oh, okay. Okay, you have a crystal, and then you see this copper colored and silver colored. These are the windings. The windings are wound like this. The copper is going clockwise. The silver is going counterclockwise. They're being pulsed.
Is that creating like a tortial kind of effect because they're different directional?
Yeah, what's happening is they're being pulsed alternately. You can see the pulses here at 4096 hertz. Why is that frequency important? It's the resonant frequency of the quartz lattice structure. And so this is what we created. You can see you can have a 3D printed coil form, and we wound the copper here like this and the silver like this. And what happens is when you pulse alternately the silver and copper at 4096 hertz, 180 degrees out of phase, what happens is it activates this torsion field. And if it's strong, if the crystal starts to saturate, it'll actually it'll lift off the ground. It will be like an anti-gravity type effect. But you don't want to do that because the crystal can saturate, and if it gets to a certain level, it can implode and transcend light and densities, and could be potentially dangerous. But
you mean like exploding photons?
It says it's not so much of a concern with the smaller crystals, but with the large crystals, it could be very dangerous. In fact, when they're activated inside the when they're activated inside the pyramid chambers where they have, you don't want to be in there because you could dematerialize your body. Your body could actually deconstruct. So what's happening is, within the crystal lattice structure, it's opening up this eye of the crystal. Let me switch here to a different screen. This is a photorealistic, they can't take photos, of course, but a photorealistic representation of what Jen Hanaredian looks like. You know, he looks like in his 20s, about 150 years old. They live to be 900 to 1,500 years old.
They max them out about 25, 30, pretty much. No one looks older than that.
Yeah, they look good. We need to look like that, you know. Here, let me show you. Go down here to, okay. This is the eye of the crystal. It's formed by a vortex that's created by the 60-degree angle, and a vortex that's created by the 52-degree angle, or 51.84 to be exact. And what happens is, when these two vortices come together, it opens up the singularity eye of the crystal when it's piezoelectrically stimulated, which allows you to connect to source. And as Jen Hans put it, he says, it works by finding the phase conjunction node inside the crystal by projecting inward the geometrical shapes of the two opposite points. Like a mirror, there is a vortex singularity of the crystal. Focus your thought and energies just there, and you may project your consciousness to anywhere you wish in this universe, to other universes, to other densities, other dimensions. Anything is accessible in space, dimension, and time. This is great power, Elena. It is very important information. I'm honored to be allowed to share this with you. Now, he had to get permission from the Galactic Federation of Worlds through his older brother Thorhan in order to share that information with me. And this, we're doing a series of classes, which you can find on marcelvogel.org. The first one was, you know, how to select the crystal, the correct crystal that you need to do for the work you're doing. And then the second thing is, the very important, is clearing the crystal. The crystal has to be absolutely clear before you do any work with it. And our engineer has made a device like this that, I don't know if you can hear that. It's exactly within 5,000ths of a hertz. It has to be the exact frequency. We tried using tuning forks, but the tuning forks are like, you know, they're way off. But if you resonate the exact frequency of 4096 hertz, what happens is all the low frequency bonds that are connected into the lattice structure get vibrated out of the lattice structure, and the crystal becomes absolutely clear, so you can do work with it. In last year, we did an experiment with 1,700 live participants. Everybody's like positive visual, you know, seeing all the corrupt elements, you know, brought to justice, and the technologies released, and, you know, so forth and so on. We went through this long visualization of a positive timeline, and then everybody at the same time, like that, pulsed a breath, projected it into the crystal, and we got a spike on the Schumann resonance, which Jen Hand said it's because of this interconnection. All the minds on the planet are in interresonance with the ionosphere shell of the planet, otherwise known as the Schumann resonance. And so we did that. You don't have to have a crystal to do that, but when your mind is in gamma, you know, higher frequency, it's more effective. But when you use a crystal, it's like a it's quite an it's a very powerful tool to amplify that effect.
What about the imposters trying to like pose themselves as light beings, or like the holographic technology that makes a positive being look positive, and some of the dimensional levels that even nefarious beings can reach, you know, and how they've been imposters before and have fooled so many. Where are we now with being able to discern the imposters from light beings that actually don't look dark? You know what I mean?
I mean, the deceivers. I think
Yeah,
it's all
because
a
there's a lot
matter
of
of
light beings that would appear to be light even on a frequency level. They can, because they just hijack so much. I mean that's why people fall for the facades that they fall for, you know, in the human realm, but also in the ET realm.
like they have an ulterior agenda, and they're wanting to deceive and make you think that they're
positive
on a path of light and
yeah,
liberating our planet, but they're actually have another agenda.
Yeah, is there, what do you see in that? Is there any of that comes up, or
it's all about frequency
and the crystal read stuff like that? He was talking about how it can read like your past lives, and he was telling Jinhan was telling you about your connections to Atlantis, being that scientist and stuff like that. Can he look into stuff like that with that kind of advanced technology and like scan people's auras and thoughts and like detect all that?
Yeah, that surprised me. I don't remember my past life. Yeah, they scan me a lot apparently, and you know, the technology that they have, as you know, it's so advanced. They can read everything, and you know, we, as you know, we have advanced technology inside of us that can detect frequency. I think it's really hard for dark elements to completely hide their vibrational frequency. I mean, I think when you know, you can sense when people are authentic and genuine, and that there's a certain frequency about them when they're speaking. You know, there's like certain truths will resonate, whereas a person, you know, I see people that, you know, want to create division and separation, or is not exactly on the path, you know, but you know, everybody has a right for opinions, you know, and express themselves. But we really need to all work together in unity to see. The one thing the dark elements want to do, they want to pit all of us against each other. So long as
there's so much conflict constantly, like even after this last event.
Oh yeah, so long as we're fighting amongst ourselves, we're not seeing the true enemy of humanity, which is those that are manipulating, you know, psychologically and otherwise, so they can maintain their positions of power. And I think, you know, it's just encouraging. You know, I went to the conference. I mean, like, my God, there's like, looked like about 1,000 people out there. All the seats were filled. I thought, my God, you know, this many people have inquiring minds and are open. It just gave me great hope that there's, you know, this many people questioning. When the last conference I went to was in 2000, the year 2000, and there was a girlfriend I was going out with, and she wanted to hear Dr. Stephen Greer, and I really wasn't into it. I wasn't into, you know, the whole, you know, it seemed like kind of a zoo, you know, the whole UFO thing and everything. But talked me into it. And we kind of crashed there was a wine party in the back, and I was holding some hors d'oeuvres and having a glass of wine, and Dr. Greer came up to me and said, "Oh, can I have one of those?" And I said, "Sure, yeah." And I heard what he was going to do, going to Washington. I said, "You know, well, you know, I had a high-level top secret security. I was getting these messages. Oh, we're going to record you, you know. So that's how I got involved in this whole thing, was because of that incident. And then I believe it was David Adair. David Adair was like too hot of a potato to bring on to the 2001 National Press Club with his testimony. And so he ended up not going, and they needed a replacement. And so, yeah, I volunteered, you know. So that's how I ended up being one of the 21 witnesses that each one of us stated were willing to testify under oath before a congressional hearing, which the Bush administration denied. And I became aware of that our mainstream media is completely controlling all this information that's being kept from the public. And the event was brought about because of, you know, CIA directors, heads of intelligence like Admiral Wilson. Yeah, he wanted us to go before the mainstream media because Dr. Greer, since the CIA director with Clinton, James Woolsey, was denied access. You know, he met with advisors who said that start collecting witnesses. So from 1993 to the year 2001, he had like 500. How many do you need, right? You could have 5,000 witnesses, but if you control the mainstream media, it doesn't really matter because the public isn't going to see it. So, you know, he told Dr. Greer, you know, to take your people who are willing to testify under oath, go before the mainstream media to expose these illegal operations that he was denied access to and threatened to back off, or he'll see an early retirement and lose rank. So that's what brought about the 2001 National Press Club event. And then, as you know, I volunteered for 10 years, you know, flying around the planet, meeting with scientists and inventors, and become very aware that this isn't going to, they're not going to allow any kind of advanced technology that's going to replace nuclear, oil, or coal. So I basically surrendered after 10 years. But that's why we're not dealing with the energy production capabilities of the crystal frill generator. But still, you know, big pharma could have some conflict of interest there, but we're bringing this forth, and it's open source and it's free to the world. It's a gift from their world to our world. So if you go on marcelvogel.org, download the instructions, pass it on. If you know any scientists, I've been getting emails from scientists all over the world, from Germany, Sweden, Australia, all wanting to be involved in this and be able to bring this technology out. I mean, it's incredible. This is their primary technology, and it's basically the energy that comes directly from source, because the quartz crystals are it's the purest element in the universe. And when you're able to open up the singularity within the quartz, it bridges directly to source, and frill comes from it. And so this is what they use. Jen Han says it's the most powerful, incredible energy you can imagine. So that's what we're doing.
So that's amazing. What progress do you think has been made? Because there was a recent one, right? The press club gathered last year. It was around the time that there was a supposed UFO crash in Vegas. Where do you feel we're at with all that, and what are your thoughts about that crash, and also where this is all taking us? Because
where are we at with disclosure?
Yeah, because
basically,
we just had another press
well. Well, January this year, Thorhan was able to give to General Van Herk a disclosure plan it was on some form of technology that they use. No doubt it's holographic. And it's supposed to be brilliant. It's supposed to be this genius plan. And so I'm seeing a lot of elements that are coming together that are, now, of course, there's deep state elements that are wanting to counter that at the same time. The deep state elements can be seen as, oh, there's an alien threat, you know. Well, the extraterrestrials have been removed from our the Sakaar, the reptilians, and the Greys have been neutralized, basically. So they're no longer a threat, and so basically all we have to deal with is the minions that are left over, and there's laws being put in place that these corporations that have been doing reverse engineering on the extraterrestrial craft, by law, they have to, I think it's around the middle of 2024 is the deadline. It starts in January of 2024, and they have to reveal, or else their funding gets cut off. Everything's driven by money, to reveal this. And we have some whistleblowers coming out saying we have reverse engineering technology. My dear friend who was, I believe, suicided, Mark McCandish, who revealed in 2001 that we had anti-gravity craft that was built back in the 1950s that he was going to testify at the June 2021 UFO UAP hearing, but he was supposedly committed suicide before doing that, and there's a lot of suspicious
shotgun. Yeah, super suspicious. I can imagine. One of my main questions with you, man, is like, you being in these fields, how many personal friends of yours have you watched murdered or died under suspicious circumstances? Because it seems like any pioneer that brings forth any kind of technology, any of them, Stanley Meyer, you have just the orgone energy with Wilhelm Reich, all this stuff, everyone ends up getting killed, like almost everybody. And like you said, they'll send you that letter saying that if you bring this technology forward through patents, you can either be life in prison, or they literally will threaten to kill you, just like they did with that guy where you flew down with Greer. You flew after Greer to prove his technology, and when you got there, he had already been visited by 2 CIA agents, and they told him if he attempted to move forward, they would kill him, and he had disassembled all of it.
The inventor in the Dominican Republic, yes, that I worked with for months, and that's what happened. There's a lot of story. I don't want to go into all the dark stories. There's people I worked with that were definitely murdered, and some of the witnesses too in 2001 were but onward and upward.
Laura, did you want to follow up?
Yeah, we have to make peace with death anyway. It's just a doorway, and so did you show all your slides, or did you have more?
Let's see. Let's
have a whole kind of presentation to go, right?
Yeah. So me and Drago could just be quiet and let you move through some of those. That'd be awesome if you want.
Yeah, we can ask questions during it.
Yeah, let's see. I'm basically scrolling through I'm in the pages I set up on marcelvogel.org that kind of it expanded greatly the information that I had from Marcel. I mean, we took it and expanded it incredibly. So I'm having to make whole new sections that have to do with the technology that Jen Hanna has been sharing.
With the state of things in the world, though, as far as a question, like with Israel and all that kind of stuff, are there anything at the conference, anything coming from Elena, or anything coming from you, or just
absolutely,
as far as just the trajectory we're on? What we might expect. I mean, I'm not much into predictions, more like probabilities or like patternings or like,
Yeah.
or this is what maybe the next.
Yeah, while we're everybody was at the hotel there in Orlando, um, uh, Michael Sala took advantage of connecting with Elena, and they did a session with Thorhan where Elena has an implant that she can see and hear what Thorhan sees and hear, and vice versa. And so Thorhan is giving her the information, she's repeating it. And so on Dr. Michael Sala's channel, you can hear it. But at the hotel, he revealed that, yeah, the deep state is basically, they're playing both sides. As you know, there's Israeli intelligence officials that are coming out and saying that they basically let them in. So this is how they do things. They do false flag situations, and then they pit people against each other. And you know, there's good Palestinian people, and there's good Israeli people, and then there's the governments. That's good. That and it's unfortunately the hatred that gets fueled, you know, because of these acts that get going on, and people need to know who the puppet masters are, you know, behind a lot of these actions. But the med beds on the moon, the moon is not our moon, and it's not exactly a moon. It's a craft that's been in tidal lock orbit around our planet, and it's filled full of production facilities which have these med beds, which my understanding is that people who are in pain and are suffering, that, you know, have lost limbs and so forth, they're going to, you know, dealing with the military first, but they're going to be available to people. And the people who are healthy, they're going to have technologies that are rejuvenating and healthy, you know, to give the people. Right now they're on the outer orbit of Jupiter. They're setting up this massive hub, and it's being created around the space arc, and it's expanding, and it's expected to be completed in the next 2 or 3 years. But it's basically going to be a galactic kind of a cultural exchange where people from our world can go there and interact with other civilizations. And from what I understand, it's heavily militarily guarded, because there's a space portal there, which beings from other places can come in near Jupiter and then join in on the activities on the hub. But it's to keep nefarious, you know, regressive extraterrestrials out. They have a heavy military presence to assure that, you know, everything keeps peaceful. You know, the timeline when all this is going to happen, it seems as though the dark deep state elements are kind of in their last days and pulling out all stops to try to move forward on their agenda, you know, to start a war and all this. But amongst all this, I have an optimistic view that there's this global awakening that's happening, and that they're getting more and more exposed, and that there's a whole lot more of us than there is of them. And I have hope and faith that we're going to liberate our planet. And like you were saying, Drago, you know, it's like we've got to pull out of enslavement. It's like, you know, I worked for the government, the Naval Electronic Engineering Center, for like 13 years, and all their electronics and satellite stuff and everything. And I was trying to plot my escape, you know, how to get out of a 9-to-5 kind of job. And so eventually figured out some algorithms on the search engines during the day when it was easy, and then made some money and immediately bought some land and wanted to be as self-sufficient, self-reliant, and it was the best decision I ever made. So that I no longer, have to, if you have your basic essentials taken care of, food, water, shelter, and you can easily generate your own power, you can be fairly free and independent and not enslaved.
That's my dream life, man. I actually follow you and Rebecca's life. Hello, Rebecca, by the way. Thanks for
and happy birthday tomorrow.
Yes, it's her birthday at midnight tonight. She you hear in the background.
She's like, yay, hey Rebecca. Yeah,
I'm like
she told me she had turned you on to our show.
I want to create like a online party. Okay, anyway, keep going.
Yeah, and I've always seen like you guys have an amazing property, man. Lots of plants, and you can tell you guys kind of live that lifestyle, man.
It's the best. Yeah, it's absolutely the best.
Nature is where we get all of our activations from, where we really download and activate that DNA and stuff. And you can't do it around technology. You can't be in the cities. You got to be somewhere around nature.
Right, but when you
water.
But when you think about the Ohio, what happened, they want to pull people into those 15-minute cities too.
Right. I mean,
we're still being, somewhat, harassed, but you just got to do it, anyway, and guard and protect yourself and find ways to just filtrate. And I mean, we just have to be constantly on guard, right? I mean, what are your thoughts about just all these
so important
disasters and train derailments and how those that have like moved off the grid are, we have to be really careful, because I'm, living that kind of lifestyle too in many ways.
I think connecting with nature has incredible beneficial being able to connect more with yourself. And when you're connected more with yourself, you're less susceptible to whatever is out there,
Even if they try and attack it, it's like Mother Earth is stronger than this.
Exactly. Well said.
You can walk around without shoes on. You got to literally ground with the planet, because like Rockefeller made sure that they used rubber on our soles of our feet and our tires, so we couldn't electrically discharge that anode and cathode kind of like torial force, and it causes disharmony. So all we do is we accumulate all this negative energy that we can't discharge because we're always not allowing ourselves to physically ground. So when I'm at my house, I have tons of plants. I have like maybe 1,000 plants.
Awesome.
And I spend like 3 days a week with them. I'm probably going to send you some photos, man. Like it's beautiful, but just like each plant to me is like its own consciousness, and like to be there and like to be the person responsible for their success and their life and how long they live. Like it's an honor to be in that custodian and like to appreciate each life. Like you were mentioning Masaru Emoto's work. Every day, there's not been a single day in my life that I've ever skipped that prayer to, like anytime I eat or drink anything, I say, I'll just use water for an example. I call upon the divine light of source, the green light of Mother Earth, the 4 directions and the 4 elements to enter this water now, activating its source consciousness. Any harm I remove and send back to source. Then I say, water, we are sorry. Please forgive us. I love you and I thank you.
That's powerful.
I do this when I find an injured insect or an animal is run over, even it's dead. I will literally project that. I am sorry, please forgive us. I love you and I thank you, because it was us that resulted in your death. That merging technology in the jungle, because like people always ask the question, why did the chicken cross the road? That's a stupid freaking question to ask, simply because the humans put the road in the middle of the jungle. They're just walking through the jungle.
That's true.
But animals eat animals, and it's just interesting when we think of that. The ET part of our genetics gives us this whole other way of perceiving things as being more guardians and stewards, right? And it just sort of depends, because there's so many different species and blood types and genetic makeups and hybrids that exist. Like, what are we really like when you look at the world around us? I mean, we're not just dealing with humans. Like we could be dealing with clones and cyborgs, and like how diverse and how kind of off world and crazy is the human population actually? Like is it actually in your eyes? How diverse as far as galactic and hybrid, and everything in between, do you see it?
Oh God, when you think about the little squabbles we have against the minute differences in skin color and sexual preferences and whatever, when you put that in perspective, the whole galaxy of all the different types of races and types of beings there are, we really need to see that source is emanating from every single being, and that each being is a fractal representation of that source that we're all part of. And that's where they come from. The ones upstairs, they don't have these issues that and a lot of it's created. They spend billions of dollars into think tanks, psychological think tanks, that engineer our perceptions and try to engineer our consent toward their agenda. And you notice a lot of the wording and how they do things is like they're wanting to, anti-white people and anti-black people and anti-this people and anti-that people. It's like they foment division through psychological operations through the media. And more people are catching on as they get exposed. Every so often they get caught, where they are actually setting up a stage kind of situation, faking it to make it look to be something else other than what it is. And so it's the people who have inquiring minds, that don't just accept everything at face value. You have a lot of people that are still glued to their television sets, that trust everything that the medical advice and everything else that they see on television. And if you don't have an inquiring mind and seek to, as soon as you find a glitch in the matrix of perception that they create, that I always remember the story of this gay liberal guy that was totally into Hillary, and the name was Brandon, I believe, that started the walkaway movement, where he was just totally into it until a family member said, CNN's lying. They're putting misinformation. Oh, no, they're not. They're telling the truth. And then his family member challenged him. And so we found out that they were. And what happens is, when you have somebody who has put their faith and belief into something for a long time, and then all of a sudden they find out they've been deceived, they will flip and be a warrior for the truth. And he turned around and started the walkaway movement. So I think that's with anybody, that it's hard for, they've weaponized it so that people like us that are talking to the people that aren't aware yet that they're been deceived, they think in their minds that we've been exposed to misinformation and that we're, whatever. And so they've kind of, in their mind, they have this perception to keep them from looking elsewhere. Oh, you're, the 17th letter of the alphabet conspiracy theorists, you're whatever, they put that in their mind, so it keeps that separated, because they don't want that canyon, that Grand Canyon that they've created, to merge together, because when that happens, they will be unified, and we can, at that point, I believe, liberate our planet.
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, that's what we help also switch each other's DNA, which is the same thing. We switch each other's dormant DNA on. If somebody's coming in with a coding that is of like the 13th or 12th dimension, and we're able to integrate and interact, I mean, those frequency exchanges are going to begin to really light us up, and they absolutely just want us to be in fear of each other, be at war with each other, or just be oblivious and not even know of.
We all have that with our family members, don't we? I mean, there's certain family members that you're there with your family, and I know with my family, there's completely different perspectives, different beliefs, and it's a psychological challenge to bridge that.
And it's actually working in my family. Slowly but surely.
What were you going to say, Drago?
I said we're the black sheep of the families. I realize that the black sheep, that's an honorful title. Like I stepped into that power, kind of like people, they don't like the word conspiracy theorist and what comes with that. You get that whole right-wing kind of stamp. It's just like, you can read the stamp on that person. They're crazy. They're MAGA, blah, 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 right? And right. I guess I'm going to kind of segue into what you were talking about earlier about all these groups and all this separation and stuff, because there is only one race on this planet, and it's the human race, man. And I realized that the blueprint that they've started, they did this back in Atlantis. They would start groups of an original source of information and start changing languages. They talked about it in the Sumerian tablets. I think it was Enlil that ordered, or Marduk ordered, other languages to be started, and Enlil had started contrary religions because, you know, he's obviously Yahweh, and he sent his own angel Gabriel to start the Islam religion. He went to Muhammad, and he was an illiterate, and he forced him to read and write and dictate what he said word for word. And then you got like the Mormon religion, which was also started by Angel Gabriel. So like all these different groups, all these different beliefs, all these different languages. You had the Inkites, the Inkoelites, the people who followed Marduk, people who followed Thoth, like the Phoenicians and the Greeks, stuff like that. And all it did was create all these cliques. And that's what the kingship was when the Anunnaki originally came. They brought the war of kingship to Earth, and it never ended. To this day, it was a little girl that was 12 years old, Bridget de Seven Young. She found out that all but one president are all connected to King John Lackland of England. Which,
oh, yeah, the guy
I like to tell people I was there. If you can look at my past lives, I'm very passionate with law. And like when that happened in 1215, he ended up reneging that agreement. But anyways, you find out that the whole world's controlled. And like you figure out that the Freemasons, you know, and the Illuminists, the Illuminatis, they're all connected to John Lackland. And then like they're basically controlling the whole world. They're starting all these religions, which will keep the world perpetually at war and dissonant, and specifically cognitive dissonance, like you were speaking earlier. You try to challenge someone's paradigm, and sometimes they're not ready for it. And they respond with the fluoride stare. They go, and they kind of smile, and you're like, oh, that's the cue. I better stop talking. But that it's right. You know exactly what I mean. And it's just like, it sucks that we're not allowed to have juxtaposed opinions. Like, I feel that it is my right as an American or a citizen of this planet and this universe and this consciousness to be able to say I disagree with you. And it doesn't mean I don't like you. It doesn't mean I'm attacking you anyway, period. I'm not that kind of guy. You can visit my soul. You can remote view me. You're going to see there's more love in my heart for every being on this planet than any little comment that people can make, it'll just dissolve. And I openly tell people, remote view me, man. Like, I know you don't know this, but I'm actually an SSP experiencer as well. Lifelong abductee. I was part of Project Serpo with the Greys. They abducted me as a kid and gave me Zeta DNA and made me a hybrid and put me in I feel like I'm on my second 20 and back program, because technically my other one would have expired already, I think around 35. But I'm finding out that I'm still involved somehow, and they're still pulling me into the dumbs and like all that stuff. So it's pretty interesting realms. This whole consciousness, holographic reality, where you were saying you have to see everything as source. So that's what I do. I see everything as me. Anybody that I would think would be my enemy, I'm literally talking to myself. Like the three of us talking now, we don't actually exist separately. We're all in the same mind, having this conversation and separating our own conscious to make us think we're separate, but we're not. So all of our enemies is actually us. It's like a dark side of us that we're here to work on. We have to accept there's a part of that in us that we're here to work on by having that reflection shown back to us. And the universe is waiting for your reaction. Every time you respond the same way that kept you in all those time loops in that Groundhog Day, the universe has you. It's never going to let it go. But I've learned to stop reacting, stop being the person you used to be in the moment, see everything as a reflection of you. The computer I'm looking at right now is literally God. My hands are God. There is no negative space. It's all source. So I'm just at that point in my life where I see that connection to everything, and I can just appreciate every part of it and be in every moment. And that's what I learned these days. I live life in the moment. And anytime I get distracted, I tell myself, be in the moment. If I ever get emotional, I break down due to past traumas, I say there is love in every moment. And I will look around and find that love. I will find an insect. I will find life. I will find wind blowing. When wind touches my skin, almost every single time I acknowledge it as living and I say, thank you. I'm watering my plants, sweating my balls off, and like, thank you for acknowledging me. Thank you for going through my particles and my holographic consciousness and being part of you. It's an honor.
And you, by doing that, Draco, you're affecting the collective whole, because each of us, when we're in a loving state and we appreciate our life and we're in the moment, like you're saying, we're all fractal of one larger consciousness, like you're saying. And in, like Jen Hannon says, there's a planetary matrix that we're all part of. And every single life form is all interconnected with that. And the psychological warfare that we're under, what I find is a tool is being your authentic self, saying the truth, and backing it with facts and evidence. Because I find that I feel like, I'm kind of an old school witness here, going all the way back to 1969 and being involved in research over the decades, that I kind of act as a bridge for some people, because I did go to Washington. I was willing to testify under oath. And then it opens up the door. Well, what were they disclosing? What was everybody disclosing? And when you get into the full story of that, you realize that there is a lot more that's going on with this whole thing. And when you can address things with showing concrete facts and evidence, that's what bridges it for people. Otherwise I think, we're just conspiracy theorists, we're misinformation, we're in our own woo-woo land of belief that there's something, and there's so much facts and evidence for those who have, the eyes to see. But you can't, my mother used to say to me all the time, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. It's pretty much, living by example, like we're saying, just being that higher frequency love, being in that state, even though you may not get on a talk show or do a conference or whatever, even just being in your house and being in a high state affects the collective reality that we all are in. Yes. Being in that loving state.
Yes, and just connecting with what you guys are saying too,
how everything is us, even the cabal. I mean, I look at it like the negative ego. Our own negative ego parasites off of us. You know, why do we get, we can drain ourselves with our thought forms, with just, you know, the way we treat ourselves, the way we treat others has an impact on us. It's not just energy vampires outside of us. It's also what, you know, so we can't look at them outside of us and be victimized by them. We have to see the shadow of ourselves in order to see where we are in agreement, or where we are, you know, allowing them to have, you know, any power over us because of, you know, our participation. And they usually hook into us in a negative ego way, blackmail or fame or wealth or fear, you know, just everything that is in a lower, you know, vibration is what keeps the matrix alive. And that's the only way AI can really assimilate into it and imitate it. It can't imitate spirit. It can only imitate lesser versions of ourselves that are really us, looking back at us saying, do you really want this to steal your energy, to mimic back to you a falser or a lesser reality than what you're actually capable of? Just like the people we meet, you know, don't we deserve better friends if they're taking us down a wrong road, or partners? You know, why would we want to stay stuck in that when we know we deserve better? So it's that choice within ourselves to just say, you know what, I can cut that cord. I can call that energy back to me, and not like let the ego be compartmentalized away from, you know, the soul and spirit, and, you know, these other dimensions that are a vibratory match to the higher harmonic universes that exist, that have, you know, other aspects of ourselves that we would call extraterrestrial or higher, you know, entity beings. So that's just my 2 cents to add to what you guys are saying. That resonates. I
Laura, your video feed and your audio just went out.
Somebody hit you with a freeze ray. Oh, there you are.
What?
Laura, the last 30 seconds that it froze, the last 30 seconds froze. Both me and Dan seen it. It was just no audio, no video. It was just frozen.
Well, I like what I said for myself then.
They always like to take us down when we're saying the most profound stuff.
I just said something
they see
so
the energetic.
huge,
It's like she's raising in frequency. We're seeing it. You're like, oh, hit the button. So, pause it.
Can
Pause
you
it.
hear me now?
It's kind of like Operation Mockingbird, where you have reporters start talking the truth, and then they're like, boop, they hit the button.
Can you guys hear me now?
Hey, welcome back to commercial. I'm your blah. You know what I'm saying? It's just like,
Well, I won't talk anymore if my audio and video is not good. Can you hear me now?
No, it only happened that one time. You're good.
Okay, yeah, I was just saying
99% good.
You know, in this duality, you know, and in free will universe, we've given the journey of ego, and it's got a negative shadow version of itself. And I was just saying that, you know, the cabal isn't outside of us. It's a part of us, and we can integrate it into something that can begin to merge with the soul dimensions, the higher harmonic universes, to flip those inversions around, which is what the Venus transits are doing, what all the planetary alignments are doing. But I'll just stop there. And that's just a little ramble. So Dan.
Yeah, you're pretty much agreeing what Drago was saying too. I agree. You
We're
know,
all
when things trigger us, you know, it's like opportunity.
Exactly.
You know, it's like the dark elements, you know, we all have all these different aspects from the dark to the light within us. And when we experience that, it's like an opportunity to transmute it, to transform it.
Every moment's an opportunity to remember more of who we are versus forgetting it and giving it to something outside of ourselves to define it and guide it. I mean, you know, there's good guidance that can remind us, and then there's the controllers, and we all know what that's all about. So when you've done so much research and you've really helped to exonerate Eisenhower from a lot of blame. And when you guys talk about like bloodlines or all presidents are related to so-and-so, I mean, Eisenhower's a bit of an anomaly. And I know presidents before him weren't like the ones we're seeing today either.
I think he was one of these singular anomalies that literally tried to make so much change that it almost got him assassinated. You know what I'm saying? Like, to be in that position of power where you go against other people kind of control your narrative, and you're willing to die and get assassinated by NJ12 to tell the truth to the public. And like that exit speech was the final FU to the MIC and to the deep state and MJ12. It's like the governments or these special access programs have grown so big that they have more military than countries do. They have their own funding mechanisms. It's all classified. Like when Donald Rumsfeld announced on September 10th, 2001, that we were missing $2.3 trillion, a lot of that was SSP related. That's why they made sure when they took down the Twin Towers to hit Building 3, because Building 3 housed a lot of those information and records. And that's why they hit the Pentagon. They hit the Navy Records Department, and only the Navy Records Department. Like, come on, man. No one found no plane. Like, you literally can see that was a cruise missile, and it hit the Pentagon, and they literally just destroyed the records, you know?
What's amazing, it's so in your face, you know, they do these things. And, you know, like even John Lear said, you know, he's flown like 100 different aircraft. He said, I'd be hard pressed to try to do that maneuver. But as General Stubblebine said, yeah, it wasn't a plane. That was a missile that came in.
And a couple of generals came out and said they watched the footage themselves that was taken by the government, and they said they watched a missile hit the Pentagon themselves, like 4-star.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. I seen the original footage. Some of the very few footage that was released, the black and white photos, you can see that they had helicopters and they had airplanes flying around, and it was like no fly zone. Coincidentally, that day they had no fly zone, but they had government entities flying around. You know, a lot of those recordings were originally confiscated by the government. And now they're starting to come out, kind of like that second view of the plane hitting the towers that was just released like 2 or 3 months ago. It was the most detailed video I've ever seen in my life that was intimate. It wasn't just like that shot of the plane coming in and hitting it. It was like from the view that's close, where there are so many witnesses around that guy, where everybody saw it happen. And like to watch the second plane come in from that side view that's never been shown. Holy crap, man.
This shows the power
what
of the
they're
media.
willing to do. Yeah, what they're willing to do, they have no lines they will not cross.
Oh, and you know, this so obvious and in your face where they do things. You know, it takes a while for people to try to get over the shock that they've been completely deceived. And you just, you know, I guess only the NSA really knows, with artificial intelligence monitoring every single conversation, including this one, that can, like William Binney says, they're making dossiers on everybody, and you can be able to tell what everybody's mindset is across the entire planet.
So they can figure out the next psyops? Sorry, keep going. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's just being able to understand the psychological landscape of what you're dealing with how many people are catching on, and how many people are still, you know, watching MSNBC and reading New York Times and you know, just going along with the whole thing. You know, this is power that we have that, like both of you brought in this conversation, that, you know, our consciousness is all interlinked. And so just the very act of us talking about this kind of stuff is affecting the collective matrix.
I had a thought though, you know how the 5G and the whole zombie apocalypse and all the things with frequencies, and I feel the great awakening, or when everybody becomes that override frequency, what happens to all the parasitic sort of individuals that were hoping that the 5G and all this zombie stuff would work, and like what happens to them when the light energy and the love becomes too strong and the parasite begins to lose its host, you know, like the celebrities that still want to go to these rituals and have their fame. You know, there's some that want to get out, of course, and they're kind of blackmailed or stuck, but there's some that, you know, just are very still in it. You know, I just feel like almost like this flip is going to happen. Instead of a zombie apocalypse, it's going to be the parasites are all just like going,
Right.
and we don't have them to
It
feed on
burns. It
anymore.
burns. They can't handle the frequency.
Just like the Wicked Witch of the West.
I've seen the biggest change happen on this planet since 2016. If you go to resignations.info, you're going to see that there's over 16,000 high-level resignations from major people around the planet. CFOs, CEOs, inventors, people who started platforms, tech CEOs, all these people, they're all being taken down. Resignations.info, you can see even a lot of their charges. So you have a lot of these top people in the world suddenly start taken down when Trump became president, just coincidentally. And within 1 year, you had the Me Too campaign start. You had the mass outing of celebrities being inappropriate. You had the Harvey Weinstein stuff come out. You had all this Epstein stuff come out. So there was big change happening around the world, and it is palpable. I can sense it. And I've been following along for a long time, and I feel for the first time in history, I have that hope. And I'm projecting that hope that where I know we already won. There's no scenario where they win in this, period. Not in my reality. I'm not going to co-create that fear and that negativity and the attacks. And like, if you guys want to get burned in some kind of apocalyptic thing, a lot of these people, we signed up for these agreements. We, you know, when we incarnate as an individual group and say, we want to die by a tsunami at the end. We're here for this major moment in life, and we have to choose our exit plan. So like a lot of these things that's escalating around the world with these changes, it is Earth-based, it is solar system-based, it's universe-based, and it is also unnatural. It's like human and other technologies are being activated. But like, I'm not going to be experiencing a post-apocalyptic future. I'm not going to your little negative 3D world where everything implodes on each other and like all the demons physically unstep that they come forward and like, hey, we've been controlling the planet forever. We're physically going to show it too. It's like the World Economic Forum, the whole 2030 agenda, where they're trying to basically take freedom away. They're trying to criminalize owning private property. They don't want you anywhere near the forest. They want to control everyone. And it's like people like us, it's the rebels. We're not going for it. We're not going to be part of your 15-minute cities like Laura says. We're not going to take part in just lowering our vibrations and taking part in all the negativity that's going on, because we're not here for that. The attacks will come, period. You always attack the light, period. You always try to extinguish the light. But guess what? A single candle can light 10,000 flames, and you can't stop it once it starts.
Yeah, it's true. And we collectively create the reality, and you know, the secret societies understand the hive mind and how Hollywood has, you know, been infiltrated, and the realities that you see created in movies and so forth like that create agreed upon realities in people's minds. So, you know, you try to, you know, Rebecca and I try to look for, you know, some movie entertainment. It's also bad, you know, especially, you know, things like Netflix and stuff like that.
Speaking of Netflix, did you know that it was Netflix is a product of Edward Bernays, which was the #1 propagandist that was hired by the States government. So like Netflix is a propaganda tool. And
he was a father of propaganda. Absolutely.
And he's directly related to Sigmund Freud.
Yes.
Known pedophilia. Like he was known, and like he's the one that started like how we break down people into archetypes with psychology and stuff like that. So like he's the one that created these boxes that forced us into be identified into these individual boxes, and if we don't relate to them, they make us, you know.
Yeah, they know how to manipulate people. Like when the cigarette people wanted to have a promotion, they hired Edward Bernays and had had the women with
Freedom
cigarettes
tickets.
as victory torches, victory torches, you know. So it's like, you know, it worked, you know, cigarette sales went through the roof. And it's just kind of interesting, so much of the stuff. Anyway, wow. I love you guys.
I know, we could just talk forever.
I know, like, I feel we have to have a part 2 sometime, because like I feel we've not talked about hardly anything, because we have so much to talk about. And like I really
about so
get through your
much.
presentations, and like I've researched you so much, man. Like if you see just the information I have on you, just your history and like how much I've truly paid attention and stuff, you'd be impressed, man.
Wow.
Like can't have all that and just express it in a singular video, man. You know, like we all can't just be summed up in a single hour and a half, 2-hour interview, because really we're only just given pebbles of who we truly are. And like it's hard to really get to know somebody and like explore who they are. And like you had your Kundalini awakening in what, 77?
Yeah,
Like,
good
so
memory.
Laura C and I got
in the
pretty
Dan
damn
Willis.
good. I feel like I'm a young version of I'm mind farting. I don't he talk phase conjugation. Talks about phase conjugation all the time. Spike speaks really fast. He quotes his own website pages. Oh my God, you talk to him. God dang it.
That happens
you
to
hate
me
that?
so often too.
John? No?
What?
You're trying to think of somebody.
I'll get back to you. Good Lord. Don't you hate when like you have such so much profound things
Yeah,
that
that happens to me all the
dyslexia
time.
kicks in, and like you start like, what was I talking about? Like what? Because earlier I lost my train of thought. We were talking about conspiracy theorists, right? And how people, they don't like to be labeled a conspiracy theorist. I want to be labeled a conspiracy theorist because it was November of 1963, after they assassinated Kennedy, where the CIA came up with the term conspiracy theorist. And
1967, right.
1963.
Well, that's when Kennedy was assassinated, but the CIA came up with the term, which was kind of interesting because
I know it was 67. That's interesting.
They put out a dispatch to all their agents that to use the term as a conspiracy theorist for anybody that was questioning the Warren Commission, which was set up by Alan Dulles was running it, who actually set up the assassination directive for Kennedy.
And it was loaded with Freemasons on all that list of people. It was loaded with Freemasons.
Oh yeah, they were all like 33rd.
Every single one of them, man.
Earl Warren was a 33rd degree Freemason. You have Alan Dulles, a 33rd degree Freemason. You have Gerald Ford, a 33rd degree Freemason. Yeah, it's all 33rd degree Freemasons. They were set up this Warren Commission to establish that it was a lone gunman. But in this CIA dispatch, they actually said that Lee Harvey Oswald was not a member of the intelligence community at all. They and then John McCone, the CIA director later, admitted that he was Lee Harvey Oswald was trained by their agency. So they're lying to their own agents, basically, which is not a surprise. But yeah, ever since 1967, the CIA has used that, and it's been very effective. Conspiracy theorists, half-baked theories, they're just making up things. You have financial interests. That's why I have nothing against people making money. I just, I'm just blessed. My lifestyle, I don't have to hustle for any money. So I don't do anything with money having to do with anything with, energy, crystals, or disclosure or anything. Nobody can say, oh, he has an ulterior motive. He's trying to sell this or sell that, So that's one of the approaches that they use, is to discredit people, that you have ulterior motives is why you're coming out with this information.
Oh yeah, Disco Tina put out a really great video of me. Oh yeah, gosh, everything under the sun of what I'm a grifter, I'm this, I'm that. I just really mind blowing, and it's just I have to laugh.
It was really
It's
tough having
like-
to listen to that and like get through it. And I'm like, I cannot believe I'm hearing this, man. Like, this is insane, man.
Yeah. So we hear it and it's just like, whatever, if you don't see it, that's, oh, I just don't have time for it. It's just whatever. Fine. My gosh.
You know
And
what?
there
You
are those people out there, but
definitely
yeah,
don't deserve that either. Like, you don't.
there's ones that'll just go after you and they don't know your heart and soul. They don't know your soul journey. And I don't, it doesn't bother me. It's like a mosquito. It's just like,
Let the offender fall by their own weight, indeed.
yeah, and I forgive and I understand and I know that everybody's all on edge and not knowing who to trust, but it's like, let's grow up a little bit, be a little bit more mature. There are better ways to deal. There are better ways to if you have a problem with somebody and you think that about them, then why don't you ask them? Why don't you form a connection with them and see for yourself? And if not, just leave it alone. Let other people figure it out and discern. Let them fall on their face and get back up. That's what we're here to learn about. We don't have to worry so much. We don't have to be out here smearing and hurting each other, because how they're affecting the public. People go into the grocery store. You're going to be like, no, don't get that Jell-O. Go over here. Have that. That's organic. Go eat that. It's like, just let people be, and just, I just don't understand even the need for it. But it's especially wacky when you just go after, the wrong people. And I just really don't care. But anyway, Dan, is there anything we haven't shared today?
Yeah.
would like to-
We'll have to do this again sometime. I'm a little more energized and a little bit tired today, but
I didn't even
three of
sleep
us.
last night.
All three of us, man.
And I'm so sorry if I've been I'm just like going
you're
from one event to
wonderful.
another. I'm about to go to Turkey.
I love who you are, Laura. Just be exactly who you are. And
It's
you too,
been one
Drago.
amazing
You be
conversation.
exactly who you are.
Exactly. I
Well,
recognize
Dan,
myself in you, Dan.
It's just wonderful to just show up as we are.
My recommends people to research. That's when you research and find out. Don't go by rumors and things like that. People spread rumors about this and that, but research. Do your own research and find out who's who and who's behind what, and just gotta. We all in our hearts have the same agenda, I would hope, to see our planet liberated and all these deceptions exposed, and the people who have been the puppet masters behind that have been pulling the strings, that have been causing the division, the artificially created division amongst everybody. And I'm seeing a lot of it. I'm seeing a lot of it happening that, it gives me great hope that it's exponentially increasing.
I guess to close it, would you say
Awesome.
that Werner von Braun's predictions about that final stage that Carol Rosin talked about in the 2001 disclosure of this information, how we would go through these different, I think it was 4 different types of scenarios, and in the end they would do the false alien invasion.
Right.
I think they're really going to try to pull it now that we know that that's part of it. Now that there's so much people, like you said, we've had a paradigm shift. So many people are waking up and switching sides from whatever direction you are. I'm not trying to call anybody out. I don't judge anybody. You can have your own beliefs. I'm not going to judge you because your opinions have nothing to do with me. So I'm not here to say do or don't. Just exist. Be yourself. But you know what I'm saying? I feel that we need to get to that point of our life where we let the stuff go. We forgive each other. And we can look each other in the eye and say, you've done me wrong, but I forgive you. I love you. Even though you've been my worst enemy, I'm not going to hold on to this. If you want to hurt me, fine. But I will not become my enemy.
Exactly. Beautiful. Sweet.
Yeah. There's it's interesting. It was different regarding the false flag alien invasion. There's different agendas going on, and there's that are lies. One is the alien threat, which certain groups of people are promoting the alien threat thing. But the aliens are that are threatening our out of our system. So that would fit to match the false flag alien invasion. And then the other lie is that that there's all good extraterrestrials, across the universe, and that's not true either.
Yeah, honestly, like I'm not gonna say who that is, but like that's been hard to hear that there's no bad ETs, because like I think we all know there's bad ETs. I've been involved with them throughout my abduction experiences with everything I've done, and like there's definitely bad ETs, and like I know for a fact there's bad ETs because like I remember some stuff. But like
it doesn't make any sense.
It's not all love and light and kitten kisses outside of all this, and it's all like, oh, we're stupid.
Look at the world, the state of the
fighting
world,
each other. We haven't deserved to be at their level yet. Come on, I don't believe that at all. I believe that we've been artificially held back, and we've not been allowed to evolve as a species without being controlled in any way.
I look at it almost.
They've edited our DNA. They're poisoning the planet with chemtrails. They're poisoning our water. They're poisoning our food. Like, what's next? If there's no false flag alien attack coming, what are they going to try to do now?
Well, the agenda behind the all ETs are good. The religious institute that's in Rome totally supports that that narrative, as well as Dr. Stephen Greer, who I really respect all the efforts and work he's done, but I don't know why he continues to insist that that narrative when it's shown.
Somebody actually explained that to me, and it made sense. And that could be for another show.
Yeah, let's dig that one up.
There was a reason that he does know. It's sort of just kind of like wink wink. I have to kind of say this, and other people, he'll give a voice to say otherwise. So that's sort of his way of kind of protecting something that he's kind of in a rut. But that's
I've heard justifications, but truth is paramount.
Still, I mean, I'm for me personally, I'm just truth. I don't even care, if it kills me, whatever. But I have to just say that no matter how much they've tried to take away from us and lead us down a road of forgetting all that we are, and with all these dark technologies and all these different tactics, the force of spirit, when you do that, it comes back even greater. I mean, I just see it as a rubber band. You pull something back, you try and take it away, and then you let it go, it flies. It's like the strength that we're building, within ourselves in the face of this is even greater than I think from when we originated. We were vulnerable when we originated in Lyra, from the Guardians and in the Avatar Matrix, higher harmonic universe. We were invaded. It was a free will universe. And now we're all the wiser. We've gone through this whole experience. And it's like, now it's like, you can never get us again. I mean, what's going to be the next level of this game? It's going to be wild to see, because once you're untouchable and you've reached that immunity and you've exited the matrix, it's going to be wild to see where we go from here.
Yes, we've gone through our school, haven't we?
It's one tough school, man.
I always see the big cosmic campfire, and we're all just, it just tells stories for a couple thousand years about how mad it all was down here.
Well, let's do this again sometime. I look forward. There's so much to talk about, and there's always new things to talk about, and I'll have some new information next time, I'm sure, because there's things rapidly developing.
Sweet. Awesome.
Yeah, man, I would definitely like to talk about, in closing, next time, part 2, your extensive research, basically creating these timelines, and you're connecting everything. Like, you put a pretty impressive list together, and like, you're an awesome researcher, man. So like,
thank you, Drago.
All that hard work you put together, we need to talk about it, man.
Yeah, just my own questions. I did it for myself.
Got 4 questions. They keep expanding that it was 2, then it became 4. Then you're like, well, here's another question. I know all your questions. So
deep gratitude to you, Dan. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Oh, so good to be with both of you. So enjoyed it, and look forward to part 2.
Awesome. Happy Halloween. Happy Samhain, everyone.
The Rebel
The veils
Collective.
are so thin right now. What's that, Drago?
I said the Rebel Collective.
The Rebel Collective. See you next time, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.